Sometimes in a small group situation, people who are quiet or more shy, or people who are new to small groups or maybe new to your small group, might hesitate to participate fully in the conversation. They might just sit back and watch everybody else, listen to everybody else do the talking. Now we know that there are different personalities, and different personalities will be more vocal or less vocal. But we just want to make sure that in our groups, we make every opportunity for people to feel welcome and empowered to participate in the conversation in the group. And so here's some tips on how to help quieter people participate more in your group. First of all, be sure to create a positive, affirming environment. For most people, it's a risk to open up and share an opinion or a thought or a personal reflection in a group setting, especially for someone who might be new. And so it's important to be positive and affirming toward the contributions that people make. So we want them to understand that we're not fishing for a certain answer, that there's a right answer that we really want them to say, but that we value the input from everybody in the group. Now, sometimes people are going to come up with an answer that's harmful, and that's pretty rare, and you might have to deal with that from time to time. But what you really want to do is appreciate the things that people share so that they know that it's safe and it becomes more comfortable for them to share again because they've been received in a positive and affirming way. Here's the second tip, and that is to be inclusive. For example, you could say something like this: "Hey, we've heard a lot from Bob and Joan tonight. Let's hear what some of the rest of you have to say." And open it up for others, invite others in that way. Or you could say, "Hey, let's just go around and everyone give a very short answer to this question. Just a quick word from each one of us." And barring the person who's just really painfully shy, everyone will be willing to share at least something short if they know that everybody else is going to share. Those are just ways to be inclusive. And then another tip is to break the ice. Make sure you spend enough time in your group meeting just warming up and letting people connect and interact informally. You can do that as people just chat with each other at the beginning of the meeting. You can also do that by using warm-up questions. Usually there's a warm-up question in each of the discussion questions in our conversations. A warm-up question is a question where there's no right or wrong answer. So there's no wrong way to answer it. It's about more personal experiences, but it's also safe. It's not going to probe into something that could be threatening or vulnerable to people. And so people are inclined to share around those engaging warm-up questions. And if the group is larger, it might help for you to break it up into smaller groups. If there's 12 or 15 people in the room, you might break it up into groups of 3 to 5, people sitting near each other, or just break it up in different ways each time so different people get acquainted with each other, because people will feel more comfortable opening up and sharing in a smaller setting and with non-threatening type of questions. So it's good to think of ways to break the ice. And then if all else fails, you might want to consider just talking to that person privately. Sometimes people might just need a little bit of personal encouragement. And so if you notice that someone is consistently quiet in the group, you might want to just have a little conversation with them afterwards, alone, and just encourage them that you'd love to hear more from them, that you appreciate their participation, and that you just want to encourage them to speak up. Now, we know different personalities will respond in different ways, and so we don't want anybody to feel forced to participate, but by letting them know that you value their engagement, then that could maybe just help them to loosen up a little bit. And another way to do that is to show them the discussion questions ahead of time for that person, because some people just need more time to process what they're going to say. They feel more confident if they've had a chance to think about it in advance. So if they could look at the discussion questions in advance, then when you come back together next week, they might be more likely to participate. So that private conversation will encourage them. Now, here's the thing. In small groups, we really grow as we learn and process and discover God's truth together. And so what everybody has to offer is important. Don't settle for just letting a few vocal people carry the group all the time, but find ways to encourage the quiet people to share.